now know your motives with this, clout and money, and I'll see you in court.
Suing Coffeezilla is not going to help CryptoZoo holders, so I do need to focus my attention where it should be.
Well, I guess since Logan has completed his buyback program for the CryptoZoo victims, he now has enough time on his hands because late last month, he filed a 47-page defamation lawsuit against Stephen Findison, who you may know as Coffeezilla. This lawsuit comes 5 months after Paul sued his CryptoZoo co-founders for their part in the alleged scheme. So let's break down exactly how Paul is claiming Coffeezilla broke the law and whether he has a shot at a legitimate claim. There's so much bad blood between these guys. And I'm not the only YouTube lawyer who's watching this. Attorney Tom, as you likely know, is an attorney of record in the federal court case against Logan Paul by the CryptoZoo players. I'm kidding. They're not able to play. They're just victims. And I suspect there will be some legal analysis on the way from YouTube's biggest lawyer, Legal Eagle. Wow, look at that beard. But first, some backstory. Now, if this is your first time stumbling upon an America's Attorney video, well, first of all, welcome, but you may not know that I've been following Coffeezilla's riveting expose on Logan Paul and his CryptoZoo failures and the subsequent class action lawsuit since the start. Here's a summary of about 12 videos, which I highly recommend you watch. At the end of 2022, Coffeezilla released a 3-part series breaking down Logan Paul's biggest scam. In this series, viewers learned about the spectacular way in which Paul and his associates managed to cause the loss of millions of dollars to thousands of crypto users through his failed crypto game, CryptoZoo. According to Paul's defamation lawsuit, there were many reasons for CryptoZoo's failure, but the most fundamental was that the team member responsible for overseeing the development of the game, Eduardo Eddie Ibanez, turned out to be a charlatan who had lied to Paul and many others about his background and credentials. A charlatan! Now that's a word. Coffeezilla, of course, did not hesitate in his videos to place the blame squarely on Paul's shoulders, which led to the original threat of litigation. Following the release of Coffeezilla's series, Logan Paul received major backlash. Coffeezilla received public acclaim, and YouTube legend Attorney Tom filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of the victims of CryptoZoo, a lawsuit which I have also extensively covered in several videos, so please go back and check those out to find out more about that lawsuit because it's still ongoing. Paul has since announced multiple plans for making CryptoZoo victims whole, and he even sued his CryptoZoo co-founders who he alleges scammed him and everyone else. Again, as you saw at the beginning of my video, Logan Paul initially threatened to sue Coffeezilla. Then he retracted that threat, but has now followed through on that threat anyway. So let's break down what Logan Paul's lawsuit contains. Now, the bulk of the lawsuit is an in-depth overview of Logan's side of the story about what went wrong with CryptoZoo, and also a detailed breakdown of Coffeezilla's multiple videos about the CryptoZoo failure and all the evidence and allegations in those videos. Can I just stop right here and say two things that are kind of weird? He didn't sue Coffeezilla for all those videos from 2022. And also, he spent the entire lawsuit saying that the CryptoZoo game was in fact a scam. Paul's lawsuit then goes on to allege that Coffeezilla violated libel per se laws in 3 separate instances. First in his tweet on June 29, 2023, and then the next day in his June 30th, 2023 YouTube video, Logan Paul's scam isn't over, and then about 6 months later in a January 5th, 2024 video entitled Logan Paul's Refund. In all 3 instances, Paul's basic complaint is that Coffeezilla accuses him of engaging in a financial scam. Now, libel per se is a defamatory statement that is actionable just because it was said and it had an audience. To constitute libel per se, the words themselves must be damaging to the plaintiff, in this case, Logan Paul. Libel per se is narrow. Words that can be reasonably interpreted as having another meaning that's not libelous, those don't constitute libel per se. Whether words are libel per se is actually a question of law for a judge, not for a jury. In making this determination, some courts have stated that language that itself brings a person's character into ridicule or contempt, or injuring someone's ability to earn a living, constitutes libel per se. Some other courts go a slightly different standard that looks at whether the language would naturally import a criminal or disgraceful charge in the mind of an intelligent man or woman, but I mean, you know how judges are. Bruh. Examples of libel per se can include false claims that a person committed a crime of moral turpitude or a claim that the plaintiff is afflicted with a loathsome disease. Not a joke. That's actual language from judges. That's how they talk. Unlike in a regular defamation lawsuit, in an action for libel per se, malice is presumed, and damages may be recovered without pleading or proving special damages. You know, regular libel requires a showing of damages, but sometimes these presumed damages can be simply nominal, like $1, since you weren't even able to show that you were actually harmed. It's not that proving libel per se is harder or easier than proving regular libel, it's just different. It can act like a cheat code in the lawsuit to cut you to the front of the line. But unless you can show real harm, the prize for cutting to the front of the line might not be worth the trouble of the lawsuit itself. So we all know what Coffeezilla has claimed about Logan Paul, both in his videos and in other social media posts. And now you know the elements necessary for this libel per se claim. So do the 3 instances in Logan Paul's lawsuit accusing Coffeezilla of libel per se pass muster? Honestly, Logan Paul does have a chance to win. But he has to overcome some sizable hurdles, some from the law and some from the reality that he himself has brought into existence. Let's start with the law. Logan Paul is a public figure, and that makes things harder for him as a plaintiff in a defamation case, because he has to prove actual malice, that Coffee knew that he wasn't telling the truth. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that's going to be a hard goal to achieve in a case like this. So let's look at the allegedly defamatory statements. First, let's look at that tweet. Paragraph 165 of the lawsuit says, Logan Paul really is the type of dude to thank you when you expose his scam and then block you when you remind him to pay up. Logan Paul did thank Coffeezilla for his videos, and then he really did block him. He'll never win this count in his lawsuit, even if he did. It's certainly not libel per se, because it's both opinion and analysis and facially true. Then there's the YouTube video where he says things like a scam created by Logan Paul and the people who played the game were Logan Paul's victims. This is semantics. The people were victims of the game, and the game was organized by Logan Paul. It's not defamatory to call them Logan Paul's victims, even if it might be more precise to call them CryptoZoo victims. Look, you can take all of the bad things that happened to people who participated in the CryptoZoo game and lay them at the feet of Logan Paul. Lastly, Paul points to the last YouTube video in which Coffeezilla calls Logan Paul a serial scammer. Now, this statement actually might be problematic because all of my confidence about Coffeezilla's victory over Logan Paul in the first 2 counts is premised on the fact that this game resulted in a scam against anyone who played it. Whether Paul has had any other project with scammy results is going to be a hotly contested issue between Logan Paul and Coffeezilla, and if he hasn't had them, or rather if Coffeezilla can't prove that he's had them, then Coffeezilla could be in some trouble for this statement. Logan Paul's lawsuit is enormous. It's 47 pages, and the overwhelming majority of it is just his version of the facts, his personal biography, how he bottomed out in Japan, how he's on the road to recovery, how he would never intentionally scam anyone, how he is the victim of the Ibanez scam inside of CryptoZoo, and on and on and on. It's not even until page 42 that he gets down to business explaining which of those statements of Coffee's that he's suing over. And really, most of this turns on the issue of whose scam this really is. Because Logan Paul is saying that Ibanez is the scammer, but that is a conclusion that doesn't necessarily foreclose the reality that it's also a true statement that the scam is Logan Paul's in addition. Look, there's a maxim in business that says that every problem is a leadership problem. Basically, that accountability starts at the top. And the law recognizes this reality through a doctrine cleverly called respondeat superior, which is Latin and basically means that inside an organization, you go up the chain of command to blame leaders for the failings of the people under their command. But another interesting tidbit of this story is the weight. Logan Paul initially threatened to sue Coffeezilla with a defamation claim well over a year ago. So why file this lawsuit now? According to his lawsuit, Paul brings this defamatory suit to hold Van Dyson accountable for his actions and to hold him liable for the immense harm that he has caused to Paul's reputation through the intentional and reckless dissemination of defamatory falsehoods. Why not attempt to hold Coffeezilla accountable back in late 2022 when he was originally making these claims. And look, I'm not asking this as a rhetorical question. The statute of limitations for defamation in Texas is only 1 year. For that reason, Logan Paul would be about 6 months late in bringing claims for defamation from Coffee's 3 main CryptoZoo videos, the ones that came out around Christmas time of 2022. I mean, in some way, I guess Paul's lucky that the scam lingered around long enough for Coffee to keep talking trash about him, since he didn't sue right away. But honestly, a lot of the harm that might have come from Logan Paul came from the original videos, and he had a chance to sue Coffeezilla, and he didn't. And that thanking video is going to come back to bite him in the, And if you look at the dates of the tweet and the videos that he released on YouTube, they happened just days before the 1-year anniversary of the filing of the lawsuit. So for Logan Paul, it was put up or shut up time. He waited until the 11th hour. Things have not gotten better for Logan Paul. In fact, that Attorney Tom lawsuit that I was telling you about, that's still hanging over him. On top of that, his lawsuit against his co-conspirators, his business partners, has not gotten him any money. Those people defaulted. They're not playing the game. Logan Paul needs some help. And I guess going after Coffeezilla, the same guy that he thanked for outing him a year and a half earlier, that seems like a good move to him. There are rumblings on the internet that Coffee should file an anti-slap motion in the defamation case or his own separate anti-slap lawsuit. An anti-slap motion or lawsuit is a vehicle by which someone asserts that a defamation case is ill-intentioned and is only filed to prevent the defendant in a defamation case from the free exercise of their First Amendment rights. Only I'm not so sure that it would work in this case. And by not so sure, I mean I'm dead certain, because about 5 years ago, the Federal Appeals Court, known as the Fifth Circuit, which covers Mississippi and Louisiana and Texas, ruled that the Texas anti-slap law, known as the TCPA, was a procedural remedy to dismiss defamation claims that are not available in federal court. The case is called Clock v. Watson, and if you're planning to represent Coffeezilla in the case with Logan Paul, or if you're legal and you're about to make a video, or you're a Coffeezilla fan, you really should read the Clock case. I understand why they ruled the way that they did, but I also don't agree with the ruling because there are just as valid reasons to advance and promote anti-slap relief in federal courts as in state courts. And the Fifth Circuit knows that full well because they actually reversed themselves when deciding the Clock case. But Logan filed in federal court, so there's not really a way forward as the law appears to stand today for Coffee to kill the case against him via anti-slap, which means we're gonna have some litigation that goes on and on for a while. But what are your thoughts on Logan Paul's latest lawsuit? Based on his claims, do you think he was right to file? Drop your pro se opinion down below in the comments and let me know what you think. I am anxiously awaiting Coffeezilla's response to this lawsuit, and if we get any legal info from it, then you already know that I'll be breaking it down. So hit the subscribe button, stay tuned, and I'll see you soon. All of my confidence about Coffeezilla's malice is presumed.